Welcome to Epoch Reel. In 1972, a console was a silent box beneath the family television. Across 5 decades, that box became a cartridge library, a social network, and a portable world.
In 1972, the Magnavox Odyssey did not look like a portal to a global culture. It could draw only simple shapes on a television. Players taped translucent overlays onto the glass to supply color, quartz, and scenery. There was no microprocessor, and no downloadable world waiting behind the screen. Yet the idea was radical: the family television could answer back. 5 years later, Atari's video computer system changed the meaning of the box. The machine stayed under the television, but the game could leave. A small cartridge turned one purchase into a shelf of possible experiences. Hardware was becoming a platform, and the living room was becoming a repeat destination. That promise almost collapsed. By 1983, oversupply and uneven quality helped break confidence in the American console market. The important lesson was not that people had stopped loving games. It was that a platform needed rules, recognizable quality, and a reason to trust the next cartridge. Nintendo's entertainment system became the clearest symbol of that recovery in the United States. Its front-loading shape looked less like a toy and more like consumer electronics. Its characters also traveled beyond the screen, into schoolyards, magazines, lunch boxes, and shared childhood language. Then Game Boy moved that language out of the house. In 1989, play could happen on a train, in a waiting room, or under a blanket after bedtime. Portability did not merely shrink the machine. It made gaming visible as an everyday habit. PlayStation arrived in Japan in 1994 as compact discs, and three-dimensional worlds changed the scale of what a console could contain. The new audience was not only children. Music, fashion, advertising, and late-night multiplayer helped gaming claim a place inside youth culture. The console was becoming a media object with taste and identity. The original Xbox entered North America in 2001. At first it still meant a heavy box, several cables, and friends sharing one television. But the direction was already changing. Profiles, online competition, downloadable updates, and persistent communities made the console less like an isolated appliance. The machine still sat in one room. The player increasingly lived in a network. In 2006, Nintendo's Wii challenged the assumption that progress meant more buttons and more complexity. A motion controller could turn a living room into a bowling lane or a tennis court. Grandparents, parents, children, and guests could understand the gesture before they understood the menu. That mattered culturally. The person holding the controller became part of the spectacle. Watching someone lean, swing, miss, and laugh could be almost as important as the score. Console play was no longer only a private stare into a screen. It could be a small performance staged for everyone else in the room. Nintendo Switch made another boundary feel optional in 2017. The same session could begin on a television, continue on a tabletop, and finish in a pair of hands. The innovation was not simply portability. It was continuity. By 2020, PlayStation 5 sold a different kind of premium experience: faster loading, haptic response, adaptive controls, and spatial audio. The old race for more pixels had become a race to make worlds feel immediate. Steam Deck blurred the category again in 2022. A personal computer library now appeared in a console-like handheld that could also dock to another display. The old borders, console, computer, handheld, were becoming administrative labels around the same habit. Nintendo Switch 2 arrived in 2025, carrying forward the idea that home and away were not separate modes of life. New communication and sharing features made the social layer more visible, but the deeper change had already happened. A console is no longer defined only by the plastic object under a television. It can be a library that follows an account, a group of friends separated by distance, a controller language learned by the hands, and a ritual that moves from sofa to train to hotel room. From Odyssey's silent shapes to today's connected handheld worlds, the history of consoles is not simply the history of better graphics. It is the history of where play is allowed to live, and of how a machine became culture by learning to travel with us.